Good evening. I'm Yamaguchi, Senior Executive Vice President of NTT DATA. I'm in charge of helping clients executives to transform their business by leveraging digital technologies. We have a lot of experiences of digital transformation project and develop the framework to succeed in digital transformation. We believe that in order for large traditional companies to be successful in digital transformation, it is important to leverage their existing strengths to deliver new customer value. In this context, I came across a book mentioning that today's true competitive advantage is understanding how digital and physical excellence can reinforce each other. The book title is Brains and Brawn Company by Dr. Robert Siegel. This is written based on the information which he has gained through face-to-face discussions and interviews with many business executives. Hence, I believe this book is very practical for executives and CXO. Dr. Siegel is a lecturer in management at Stanford Graduate School of Business and a venture investor. In his role as an educator, Dr. Siegel has taught various courses ranging from financial management for entrepreneurs to strategies for effective product management. He has also researched and written cases on a wide array of companies, including Google and many others. Robert-san, thank you for taking your time. I'm glad to see you again. Today, we would like to dive into your concept, brains and brawn, and system leader. The main target of this book is executives of both large traditional companies and digital ventures. But today, I want to focus on the perspective for large traditional companies. Before we jump into the first interview topic, brains and brawn, let me share our digital transformation framework. The overall summary is shown in this slide. There are a lot of developing digital technologies. I organize these technologies into 4 categories: convert, connect, algorithm, and cognize. When these technologies could be combined, they could greatly change the society and economies. Advances in digital technologies are making impact on strategy, organizational capabilities, and organizational structure of large traditional companies. And managers of these large companies are required to understand the impact and effectively take advantage of them. The unique point of our framework is based on the economic principles that digital technology creates, such as ubiquitousness of touch point, personalization, mitigation of uncertainty by data. We logically organize part strategy, part organizational capabilities, part organization structures are required. What is the framework of the customer value invention strategy? We believe that the customer value invention strategy is necessary as a strategy of large established companies. This strategy is for planning new services and businesses by utilizing digital technology to help clients to solve fundamental issues. What is the key to success of digital transformation for large transnational companies? On top of that, what are the key success factors for digital transformation of large transnational companies? I believe that large companies should leverage their existing assets and strengths in order to make big business impact. Existing strengths are, for example, trusted by clients, connected with clients in multiple ways and understand clients well, provides high quality of product and services, high productivity and supply capacity. Through customer value reinvention strategy, companies can extend existing capabilities in real world and acquire new ones in digital world. This combination solves the true customer issues and reinvents customer value. I believe that in order to become successful in digitalization, large transnational companies need to leverage their existing assets and strengths. And in reality, we are leading client digital transformation in that manner. Dr. Siegel, you are describing in your book that amid the insistent drumbeat of digital transformation, traditional competencies are easily overlooked and underappreciated, and that today's true competitive advantage is understanding how digital and physical excellence can reinforce each other. Can you elaborate on what lead you to think this way? Please share your thoughts.
It's nice to see you, Yamaguchi-san, and thank you so much for having me. I really resonate very strongly with the slides that you shared. That one of the things that happens out of Silicon Valley is this discussion that digital is going to change everything. But people forget that we live in a physical world. And there are a lot of capabilities and strengths that large existing companies have that are difficult to replicate and are often overlooked. And so one of the things that we talked about in the Brains and Brawn company is looked at over 80 different companies, some of them incumbents and some of them disruptors, and we tried to really understand what were the best attributes of each. And there were certain digital attributes that were important, and there were certain physical attributes that were important. And we found that the best companies were combining both. And if there's one of the most important messages, it's that incumbents, the large existing companies, they are not doomed. And by the same token, the new digital companies are not destined to win. It'll be the best companies that combine the capabilities of both digital plus physical that will serve customers better on an ongoing basis.
Thank you. So, Dr. Siegel, Brains and Brawn framework analyzes a company's core capabilities along with 10 attributes, 5 each for the digital and physical world. Can you share with us an overview of the Brains and Brawn framework and 10 attributes? Also, are there any levels of dependency or priorities among these 10 attributes?
So let's start first with the attributes, and I'll share my screen, which hopefully you can see right now, that with the Brains and Brawn framework, the 5 digital attributes, I make a description very similar to the brain. Our left hemisphere is used for data analytics and the ability to process data. The right hemisphere of our brain, the ability to apply creativity to problems, both technical and business problems. The amygdala, the part of our brain that gives us empathy. The prefrontal cortex, what allows us to manage risk. And finally, the inner ear, which allows us to balance ownership and partnership. And similarly, on the physical side, the 5 attributes of brawn, or a body, our spine for logistics, which allow us to actually get products and services to customers at a moment in time. Hands, which is the craft of making things, actually doing manufacturing. Muscles for operating at size and scale. Hand-eye coordination, which is how we drive and shape ecosystems to make things successful. And finally, stamina for physically how do we survive over a long period of time. These are the examples of the 10 attributes, 5 digital and 5 physical, our brain and our brawn. Now you talked about the prioritization. What I would say is that some companies start maybe with a brawn or physical capabilities. They were good at manufacturing, they were good at logistics. And they then now need to invest in some of the brain or digital capabilities. But similarly, upstarts might start with a digital mindset, but they need to master the capabilities of being in the physical world. And so the prioritization for leaders is to figure out where do they have existing strengths that they want to continue to hold on to, and where are they looking for new capabilities that they need to add so that they can serve customers better.
Thank you. Your explanation. I could understand more clearly about the necessity of the 10 attributes. I thought that we can recognize the importance of the 10 attributes by reading the case studies of your book, side by side. I'm also pleased to find the keyword trust and new value creation many times in your book, in your case studies. And because there are also keywords for our customer reinvention strategies. Next, how should large traditional companies proceed with digital transformation in reality? Let me firstly share our ideas regarding necessary management and organization to achieve this goal. Flat and customer-focused management would be best fit because digital technologies can reduce the cost of gathering client information, internal processing, and business experimentation. It requires separate management from the existing organization. As we have also taken many challenges in my company, I would like to introduce NTT DATA's own case study, our services. Cabis is the largest comprehensive cashless platform in Japan. One of the challenges is to create new services to be connected with variety of new payment methods, while providing stable and reliable payment platform services. In order to create new services swiftly, we have formulated a dedicated organization to create new payment services apart from the existing department. Through this experience, we have learned how to manage the traditional and digital organization well together. I believe that hybrid management requires measures to share common vision and make decisions based on data. Dr. Siegel, in your book, you share a number of examples of companies that have successfully blended digital and physical. Agricultural machinery manufacturer John Deere bought a Silicon Valley startup to push technology adoption and bring a risk-taking culture to traditional businesses. And the alcoholic beverage maker Anheuser-Busch InBev has begun a technological transformation by formulating an entirely independent organization from core business unit. And they will stretch its innovation and technology into core business unit within a few years. The challenges for large international companies are how to create new services and how to scale them. What do you think is the best way to do for them?
Yeah, it's a real challenge for the large companies, but there are some best practices that can be explored, both in terms of how products and services get designed, as well as how a corporation is organized. And this requires companies who have been successful and that are established to change the way they do things. So one thing I like to talk about is how products and organizations are transformed in the digital era. So if you look at the picture on the screen, the left side, on the product side, talks about the way products used to be developed. Companies would own assets. They would often have analog products. The scale of supply is what allowed people to have the lowest cost basis. They often used a two-tier distribution model to go through distributors to get to a customer. And they had longer product life cycles. But now in the digital world, we actually have to rent assets sometimes. And digital products become increasingly important. Things like network effects, how many people are connected to the network determine the value of the network. And you will sometimes have direct distribution and direct communication with the customer because every product and service is connected. And the speed has to be much faster. We might move from product life cycles that were measured in years. Now we might do daily product updates. If you're going to change how you develop products, you also need to change the way in which your company is organized. You know, large organizations, even when I ran my division of GE, it was about efficiency. And Lean Six Sigma was a great way to make sure that we delivered products efficiently. We made decisions based on intuition and experience, and hierarchy was very important. And IT was seen as a cost center. But in the new world, the organization needs to transform in the same way our products need to transform. We need to be much more responsive and quicker to our customers. We need to actually decentralize our decision-making and push decision-making authority closer to where our customers are. We need to be thinking about developing the right product for our customers, thinking not just about a management-centric view of the world, but look at how our customers use our product and make improvements based upon their behaviors. And finally, IT is seen as a revenue generator and an ability to have a long-term, ongoing customer conversation. And the connected nature of our products, even if they've got a physical component, whether it's a car or something in healthcare or something in manufacturing, it's that connectivity that allows us to have an ongoing conversation with customers and serve them better.
Thank you. I understand that the digital organization and the traditional organization different requires different management. So we just explained about the management and organization needed for digital transformation. Next, when we focus on talent, one of the key discussion points is what kind of leaders are needed for digital transformation. And let me share our thoughts firstly. Successful digital transformation requires a reinvention leader who understands business and technology, identifies potential customer problem, turns solutions into value, and makes the business a success. In addition to understanding both business and technology, we believe they need a comprehensive strengths such as high emotional intelligence in leading members under high uncertainty. In existing a business, plan, do, check action was important to improve its efficiency and accuracy. But I believe hypothesis before plan would be more important to create something new in the future. The repetition of hypothesis, plan, experiment, business experiment, and review. We call it hypercycle. Dr. Siegel, you describe in your book about system leader as a leader in driving brains and brawn. I have also heard that when people ask you how to become a system leader, you respond by urging them to start by asking themselves 4 key questions. As a person who understands and merges digital and physical, I felt system leaders were very similar to the reinvention leaders we presented. Could you tell me how system leaders is different from traditional leaders?
You know, it's very interesting. Your concept of reinvention leader is very similar to systems leader in terms of the capabilities that leaders need to have. And I describe a systems leader as a leader who has the ability to understand the interactions between different parts of an organization, as well as an organization and parts of its ecosystem. And there's almost a duality that has to happen with leaders, where they need to have the ability to manage simultaneously for the short term and the long term. They need to blend IQ, intelligence, with EQ, emotional knowledge. They need to understand internal, what's happening inside of a company, as well as external, what's happening outside. And I think in the past, you often had these capabilities as separate parts of the organization. You had the operating side of the organization that had operational excellence, and you had an innovation side. And I believe what we're going to see going forward is the importance of leaders being able to do both. Because in a world where everything is connected, it's really important that leaders can have this duality. You know, the digital thinker thinks horizontally and thinks software and platform and thinks about, you know, workers that might even be gig employees. And you want everybody on a single platform. And the old traditional leaders, and I don't use old in a bad way, it was about a vertical or horizontal domain, knowing hardware, and you would think about continuous improvement, and you'd engage with government as opposed to trying to keep government aside. But systems leaders now, they have to be scalable on both axes. They need to understand both hardware and software. They need to be driving towards large market share. They need to understand how to manage their labor force. The younger generation will be doing actually multiple things at the same time, whether we want them to or not. That's true in Japan, it's true in the United States, it's true in Europe, it's true all over the world. And we need to have a balanced view towards government, because government is going to be very involved with a lot of business capabilities going forward. So a systems leader really needs to understand and see how all of these things interact with each other. Whereas in the old days, you could stay inside of a function, whether it was finance or engineering or manufacturing, and you could, you know, partner with your teammates in other parts of your company. Now, even if you start in one of those functions, you need to have a much deeper understanding of what your teammates are doing in other parts of the company so that you can really see the whole flow of how everything is happening at the system level. And that's why I call them systems leaders.
Thank you. Thank you for your explanation. In your book, I was very impressed by the following sentence as an insightful message. System leaders need to learn enough to have a meaningful conversation with experts of all stripes. System leaders need to know enough to ask the right question, not necessarily to answer them. I understand the important thing is learn for asking the right question. Learning for asking the right questions. I thought exactly the same thing. I understand what the capabilities are required for system leaders. So, what kind of training or experience do we need to become such a leader?
It's a great question, Yamaguchi-san. I think that great systems leaders, first need to start internally with understanding their own strengths and their own development needs. Because we all have development needs, we're all human. So the first thing is to understand where are we good at things and where do we need to learn to improve. And that's why when I talked about asking good questions, it's actually okay to not know everything. And that gets harder as we get senior in larger companies and we're expected to have command of so much. But I think it's that ability for us to say, okay, I'm learning new skills and new capabilities, whether it's about artificial intelligence or automation or analytics, and figuring out how that's applied to a business. I will often say that great systems leaders have a product manager's mindset. Product managers, they understand what do customers need, how does a product get built that meets the customer's need, and what's the commercialization strategy for taking that product to market. So great systems leaders have that kind of natural curiosity. They understand what they're good at, but also where they need to improve, and they constantly want to retrain themselves and learn new things. There's the joy of learning new things, knowing that the world is going to keep changing. The speed with which technology is going to continue to advance is not going to slow down. And great systems leaders need to actually run towards the disruption so that they can actually help their employees and their customers get to a better world where they can actually get the products and services delivered in ways that they want them to be delivered.
Thank you. I understand system leaders require similar capability as product manager. As you mentioned, product managers have capabilities seeing things from various point of view, and the product leader combine their capabilities to make a good product. Thank you. So, I recognize that you have worked with Japanese company many times. From your viewpoint, what do you think we should care about as we train system leaders in Japanese companies?
I've had the good fortune of visiting Japan almost 50 times in my life. And when I've been to Japan, I've always been so impressed with the attention to detail and the capability of understanding how to deliver a highly crafted product, whether it was a piece of electronics or an automobile or industrial equipment. And I think where Japanese companies will need to continue to improve are in two areas. The first is really understanding the connected experience from the point of view of the customer. What does it mean when a product is connected? What's that experience like on the other side in terms of how deterministic is it between hardware and software? How frequently does that communication happen? And I think the second thing is there's really going to be an increased speed with which companies around the world are going to have to respond. We see incredible activity in China and in South America, and even some in Europe. And then, of course, you have what's happening here in America, Silicon Valley and other parts of the country here. So I would love to see Japanese leaders but make sure that they really have that connected mindset for the products of hardware, software, and network from the consumer side, as well as the increased way that we need to be reactive and responsive to our customers so that we can not only serve them better, but move our organizations more quickly in how we make decisions and implement our changes.
Thank you. Thank you for good advice for Japanese companies. So, through this dialogue, I could understand deeply the concept of brains and Brawn and system leader. In our previous meeting, you said that system leaders are necessary not only for companies but also for society. Why do you think society needs it as well? Are there any difference between them and the leaders expected of companies? And please tell us what kind of future researches you plan regarding system leaders in the future. Please.
You know, it's interesting. I actually think business leaders around the world are going to have an increasing impact on society for a variety of reasons. You know, in a world where everything is connected, not only will large multinational organizations be crossing borders, but even smaller organizations will be crossing borders. And the issues around connectivity and the way in which companies collaborate and the way in which they work together, both internally and also with outside organizations, you know, these challenges and these opportunities are going to be impactful to governments, to how we deal with the issues around healthcare, to how we deal with issues of peace or war if we're not careful. And so I think that actually business leaders are going to be right at the heart and center of a lot of both the opportunities and challenges that we see on a global basis between regions and parts of the world. And in terms of, you know, what am I thinking about on a go-forward basis, I want leaders to be thinking about issues that are actually pretty complex in terms of, you know, what will the future of work look like? How will it be shaped between what's in person and what's hybrid? How will the younger generation want to interact with and communicate with companies when they do business? What's it going to be like when we deal with issues around nuance? You know, how we deal with some issues that are very subtle and very complex, and yet we live in a world where there's so much information, and the half-life of that information is very short. How will leaders, both in business and outside of business, think deeply about deep societal issues? When all of this information is available, how will we actually be good stewards and good leaders of our communities, of our companies, and of our countries?
Thank you. I understand that digital transformation is widespread over or beyond companies into society. So, system leaders think about many things from society point of view, society perspectives. So, thank you for good dialogue, and I could learn a lot from you. And lastly, will you share your message to the Japanese audience?
Mostly that I cannot wait to come back to Japan and visit and spend time with organizations that are looking to increasingly do a better job of serving customers by combining digital and physical. And I hope to be able to support efforts of NTT and other organizations as they look to kind of develop the next generation of reinvention leaders and systems leaders inside of the country.
Thank you. And we are preparing for translation of your book, and we will publish your translation book in Japan. So, Thank you for good dialogue, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye.
ありがとうございます。Thank you.
Bye. Have a good day. Bye.